All right, I think we're live. Welcome back, everybody. I'm Walt, Flower City Cards. We got Don, Get Stacks, and Fernando, Future Sight Games back. We met, what was it, 2 weeks ago now? So we're planning to do this bi-weekly, going to kind of continue. Today we got a couple spicy topics. The first one being, evolving skies and what's going on with the price with that. And then we'll kind of move into the TCG Pocket from, Pokemon Day and, kind of touch on that and like what we kind of think the impacts are. Sorry, 1 second. I had the video up. I had the video up right here, and I had the volume on. But yeah, we're gonna kind of get into TCG Pocket, just talk about kind of the impacts that we think it's gonna have long term, and potentially, the implications on physical cards. So, yeah, to kind of just kick it off, one of the things we were talking about, in the last 2 weeks since we've seen each other, have there been any like pickups for your guys' collection? And then, for 2 weeks out from here on out, like, are there anything or any items you're kind of looking to acquire?
That you or what, Don?
I'll go.
Yeah, go ahead.
Whoever wants to take it. Yeah. Whoever wants to take it.
So I grabbed a couple things these last 2 weeks. My Brilliant Stars case of Battle Decks, from the program came in. Appreciate you, Walt, on that. I also was able to nab a couple boxes of the new set for Lacana Into the Inklands. Got it pretty good, actually. There was like a flash sale on TikTok, so I was able to get a couple of those at a pretty good price. And then I snagged a couple advent calendars, trying to do a little bit of a breakdown play with those. I saw a lot of value. I snagged it off eBay, which was a pretty good deal going on. So I'm gonna break that down into a couple of things. So I was kind of active with the pickups. Nothing for personal collection. I plan to kind of move all this stuff. But yeah, I was definitely active with grabbing stuff this last 2 weeks. Coming up, definitely souped about temporal forces. I got a couple of sleeved blisters coming from the program also, so support that. Flower City, appreciate you. But yeah, that was it with my world.
Sweet. Yeah, those advent calendars, what comes in those again? It's just like a bunch of stuff, right? I've actually never picked up any of those.
Yeah, so in the one I got, it has 5 packs, 2 Fusion Strike, 2 Paldea Evolved, and then 1 Scarlet and Violet. And then it has 7 of the 3-pack, like the fun packs. Has 7 of those. I'm not quite sure on the sets for those, but probably similar. It's probably the same 3 of the packs, the same of the 3 packs in there. It has some promos, a couple Glaceons, a Pikachu. So, that's always a go-to when there's a Pikachu in there. And they're stamped. And then I think it has a Glaceon and a Pikachu keychain also in there, or like a little like slip-on.
Cool.
Yeah, cool. So it's a bunch of things. I might even be leaving something out, but it's definitely pretty good. If you could get it like at a price, again, it was like a good deal. So I was like, all right, let me snatch this. But yeah.
Yeah, definitely. That's awesome. Yeah, I remember there was like some unique stamp promo cards in there I've seen in years past, and some of that advent calendars. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't realize.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Fernando.
No, I didn't. Yeah, I didn't realize that much stuff came in that calendar thing. I thought it was just a bunch of. I legitimately thought there was like socks and like promos in there, like maybe like a little plushie toy or something like that. So I'm like,
you say socks?
Yeah, I'm gonna keep it 1,000 with you. I didn't know you did say socks. He 100% said socks.
Yeah, that's pretty wild.
I didn't know either though.
That's funny.
Just because I've done some of those that have socks in them too. Like it's pretty funny. But as far as like my pickups, so I've been on this whatnot kind of like rabbit hole, just kind of seeing how people sell on whatnot. Not so much TikTok, but just whatnot specifically, just seeing how the singles are rolling out, seeing how people sell their singles. And so part of me has been wanting, because part of me wants to get into investing in singles. I want to put forth the effort into doing that. So I've been supporting a bunch of whatnotters, buying their singles, and maybe I'm going to hold them. But then I start seeing Lost Origin just kind of take off just not really take off, but we're kind of on the cusp of like, okay, things are warming up, things are heating up. So I almost want to buy like chases from Lost Origin just to kind of see how it correlates. A lot of this price movement, nobody can tell the future. Nobody has a crystal ball. I just feel like if you want to learn how it's going to move, you just gotta take the plunge and then learn from experience, I guess, because it just seems like everybody has a different answer. So that's one of the things I'm looking forward to, is just maybe doubling down on some singles, whether that be through Whatnot or eBay. I think it's just, so the thing I do like about Whatnot is people are just firing them off the hip. Like, hey guys, 3 seconds, go. Nobody wants it, boom, next one. So it kind of invites you into this environment where you're seeing a bunch of people who might have collections that they're just willing to part with. So I feel like it's a good opportunity to pick up on just diverse items, as opposed to getting on eBay. And I mean, I think that speaks for itself. Just getting on eBay and doing the treasure hunting thing, it's a lot. So there's definitely that. And then sealed stuff. I got 2 cases of Temporal Forces coming in from the program. Good looking out there. And then a little bit of, I've talked briefly about Magic. We don't have to get too into it, but I do have some Fallout Commander decks coming from Magic, about 6 cases worth, and we're going to see how that plays out too. So definitely. And then I'm also wondering, I don't know if you guys saw Safari Zone just putting up for pre-order their Crimson Haze. Like they're
putting me on right now. I'm going to go check.
Yeah, so Safari Zone is putting up for pre-order a full case of booster boxes, and I think it's like $5.94. So with the quick math, my quick math is failing me, but it sounds like around $90 a box, something like that.
Huh.
So it's almost like it kind of adds to the thrill of what are these sets doing? You know what I mean? So I saw that. I think I might want to do that. It just depends where the price is right, because I think your entry point is always going to be your like that's what you're most concerned with. So I'm going to keep an eye out for that too within these next couple of weeks.
May I ask a question real quick?
What's up, man?
Yeah, so you were talking about before, like getting into singles and stuff, and you mentioned Lost Origins. So what cards from that set do you like? I know, and don't say the Tina. I know the Tina is like that card. Is there anything else outside of that you find dope from that set? I know it has
I haven't taken the time to just dive into it. I'm more so going into it blindly, just kind of seeing, hey, there's all the favorites. Like, is there a Gardevoir? Is there a Dragonite? Is there a Gengar? Is there these favorite cards these favorite characters that people like, and maybe we just kind of go into it there, because
I'll show you one.
I was gonna say, if they have a mean Pikachu trainer gallery in there.
Oh, I have that one. Yeah, I pulled that one. Yeah.
That's a big one right there. I think that's gonna do really well long term.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, it's a common character card, right?
Right, and that's what I'm saying. Like those are some of the things that I think in the future are going to be things that people look back on and say, oh, I want to collect all of that. Like that's what I want. That's the gimmick to the set, right? So I don't have any favorites personally. I do have that Pikachu. I guess they call it the Sleeping Pikachu. I'm not sure what they call it, but I do have that. And just moving forward, maybe diving into these sets a little deeper and seeing what are all these hits about? Because I think you want to find yourself in a situation like Tag Team where it's like, oh, I have some of these. They've blown up. Looks like I'm cashing out. I think you want to be in those. You want to be in that environment when the time comes. So yeah, that's what I want to do. I want to look at those singles.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And before I answer the question for myself, I feel like Lost Origins got a little bit of if Vivid Voltage would, kind of Vivid Voltage went off a little bit when the craze was going on, everybody thought any Pokemon set was going to do well long term. But I mean, if there's $100 Rainbow Chonkachu, whatever, then Lost Origin is in my opinion, the the number 2 Pikachu set, right? The Vivid Voltage squared, if you will, right? With you got the sleepy character Pikachu, you got the full art V with the trainer in the background, and then you got the V Max.
You got not Ash, but you have red with
right, and then you got the V Max in there too, right? So like everybody knows like Pikachu's like the character for the face of the franchise, right? And the fact that like those are just kind of chilling in there, maybe a little bit undercover, could boost that in the future too. So, and yeah, I guess like Lost Origin, and I know we're getting on a little bit of a tangent here, but like for me, it's like sets. What I start to look for with where sets are starting to take a turn is when you can't find those like quick, people are liquidating type deals. Like, oh, I'm trying to get rid of 6 Lost Origins for $120 a pop, or 20-30 bucks under market per box, just to kind of get rid of it. It's like people are kind of looking at the price and they're going, oh shoot, this is going up. I don't think this is the right time to sell. This is like a time to hold to see kind of where it goes. Whereas before it was kind of just stagnant because like the market was still eating up that supply. So like now I feel like we're kind of getting out of that, and it's right around that 2 to 3 month mark where I think the supply from that restock, kind of got into the market. It's kind of dispersed a little bit. I'm sure there's a lot of big holders of Lost Origins still. We're still going to see ebbs and flows of that price as we move forward. But overall, I think we're at a point where it's going to start to kind of trickle up.
Are you a believer that the Pokemon Center and the boxes being on there is the hard like ceiling until that leaves, like, so until Lost Origins leaves that Pokemon Center? You don't think it'll pass that MSRP mark? I guess outside of people who can't order from the center outside of our country, but
Yeah. I think it's definitely an indicator. I haven't looked at like how well that correlates to booster box prices. The problem is there's like so many different places to look at data. And it's like, for me, I just focus on TCG Player because it's just the cleanest place. And I know I've gotten some like ridicule in the past. Well, it's like, oh, well, you could find it cheaper. It's like, I know that, but at least it's consistent. And I'm looking, you know what I mean? Like I'm looking at it 6 months ago. You could still find it cheaper 6 months ago based on what that price was. So it's like, at least I'm being consistent in what I'm looking at. And I'm just more or less looking at the delta of the price and how it's changed over time, not necessarily what it is. Right. Okay. And looking at like the trend of it. But yeah, I think that's definitely something to keep in mind. I feel like there's a little bit of like social media going on, influence. They say, you get if Fusion Strike goes out, for example, I feel like this happened with Fusion Strike. Fusion Strike went out at Pokemon Center, and it seemingly just took off like overnight. It felt like that. It felt like before that you could find Fusion Strike everywhere, and then it went off Pokemon Center, and it's like everybody suddenly wants it, right? It's just the market psychology is so interesting. But yeah, there's definitely I feel like some merit to that. I haven't personally done the analysis, but I bet you there's some kind of correlation there. When that goes out of stock, and then maybe a price hike of some kind immediately after. But
I think it's because they hold steadfast on MSRP, and it's like, all right, well, I can still get it at MSRP if I go through them. So it's kind of hard to jump past that. When you can get it for cheaper. I mean, granted, some people don't know about the Pokemon Center site. So really, you got those people who are just like, I'm going to go to TCG and that's my spot. I'm going to go to eBay because that's where I go, But definitely for people in the know. And I thought it was funny because you were saying like kind of like social media and people pushing that. But do you really think like the influencers really like have a say? Like they have that much of a reach where like people run and do that because they said it? Like based on the people you listen to, at least?
I think there's influence no matter where you go. It's just like it's hard, man. Like there's so many other, like I feel like the people who are and this is a little bit of like Pokemon Knowledge's book. I'm taking a page out of his book because I watched a lot of him. I could listen to for a long time, but I think there's some truth to what he said in the past, which is like we're just like a speck on the I guess the hobby as a whole. We're just like a I don't know, a speck in all that. The people who are this far down in the rabbit hole, like the average person doesn't like analyze prices. They just like, I want that product and I'm going to go buy it. Right. That's the average person's going to do that. And I think we sometimes lose sight of that, and we think everyone's just kind of hoarding stuff. And it's a little bit of both, right? But I think the average person is gonna buy it to enjoy it, to collect it, to keep it, right? It's theirs. Like they buy it because they enjoy it. It's a hobby, right?
Yeah, no, I agree. I think, I've heard that multiple times across influencers, that you have to not think so narrowly and understand that people are going to buy what they want to buy, and they keep pumping out new sets, and the volume is there. If you start diving into the analytics of it all, like these sets, it's somebody's buying it, right? So it's not all about us, the people who sell or resell or whatever. I buy stuff too to collect too. Like there's a little bit of something for everybody here, and I think it's side of that, because there's just this market, there's secondary market for cardboard, right? So
100%. Like I want to, like, so part of me is like, all right, I want to save this, or I want to spend this, and then there's a solid portion of me that's like, I like to rip packs though. Like I like to get my hands, get the air, open it, the air comes out, you know what I mean, and break it down. And it's like, it's actually counter to what, like, a lot of what you hear, like invest, hold, or you hear like, or you stay steadfast if you're gonna sell it and do that kind of stuff. But then part of me is like, yeah, like, but that also, that little bit of a hit when you, I don't want to say a hit, but you know what it's like, you know what I mean? You know what it is. Yeah. Get the little 100%. Dopamine rush. You see something like shiny coming up and you're like, okay, something's back there, but you still go slow. I don't know. It's just
100%. Sorry, I had to get at least one avocado.
Yeah, I'm not. Time this man shows up.
I had to get one up there at least early. But yeah. So real quick before we get into the Evolving Skies topic, part of like the intro was like, what have we picked up in the last 2 weeks since we last talked, and what are we looking forward to in the next 2 weeks? So for myself, I made a trade. I guess I didn't buy anything, but I made a couple trades actually in the last 2 weeks. I traded a bunch of slabs to tin in our program, for a bunch of Japanese booster boxes, like some Eevee Heroes, couple like Sun and Moon Japanese booster boxes, and then like a Roaring Skies box. And then I took the Roaring Skies box and I traded that for some like Cosmic Eclipse and Evolving Skies. So again, just kind of moving stuff into things that I kind of feel strongly about and kind of believe in right now. So going for those like more strong sets that I think still have an opportunity for a breakout, this year or next year, and kind of holding that for the next 2 years. So that was like the last 2 weeks. And then in the next 2 weeks, I think just like most other people, I'm looking forward to Temporal Forces. I got a booster box case come in through the program as well, and not a sleeved booster case. I got a 3-pack blister case coming too, because I started to, I kind of traded my way through to acquiring a 3-pack blister collection through like the start of Sword and Shield. So I'm going to keep that going into Scarlet and Violet. So looking forward to those two and picking those up. So yeah. So it only took us 20 minutes to get through like the intro portion.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, man. So yeah, why don't we just jump right into Evolving Skies? So obviously there's been a lot of talk, and it feels like we can't stop talking about this set. I mean, it's uncommon for a modern set to, I mean, at this point, it's essentially like 6x'd in the first 2.5 years that it's been out, right? And that just doesn't happen. It's pretty crazy. So I don't know, initial thoughts on Evolving Skies and like where it's at, seeing prices at 600 and steady at that point.
Oof. So I don't own any Evolving Skies booster boxes. I own some packs, like loose packs, and then collection boxes, like as they're grouped into there. But dude, I'm at a loss. Like I don't understand how this happens without and we can talk about price manipulation and all kinds of things, but I think it's just one of those things that could be. I think it's good that something like this happens, just because people who are in it. I mean, any attention is kind of good attention at this point. You know what I mean? So it's like, man, you see something that can go for $600. People are either going to ride that up or just stay out. Me personally, I'm kind of just staying back. I believe that there comes a point where an asset, where an asset just it gets to a certain price where you price yourself out of an audience, to where I mean it's easy for somebody to spend 10, 15, $20 on cards, but when you get up in there in like the hundreds of dollars, and dude, who knows, maybe $1,000 by the end of the year or this next year. I don't know if you're collecting it, sure. If you want to have it for collections, sure, but you're gonna have a hard time finding a buyer, I feel. And I don't think I could park my money there. Just me personally, I don't think I could.
That's 6 G's for a case. If it hits $1,000, that's $6,000 for that case.
Yeah,
and it is. Yeah, that's
buying?
Now right now. I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah, it's a liquidity issue. Well, not yeah. I mean, it's a liquidity issue, and like, there's so many that are still out there, right? Like, it's not like you can't find them. Like,
right.
It's not like Team Up, right? Like Team Up, you could search as hard as you want. You might not find Team Up boxes at a reasonable price, or anybody who's willing to like budge. Evolving Skies, you might be able to find some people who are willing to like work with you a little bit. I mean, at this point, but Team Up is like, I always compare it to Team Up because, Team Up is a little bit more, well, not a little bit more, a lot more scarce relative to Evolving Skies. And Evolving Skies has seen almost like a very similar trajectory, but there's so much more of it. So an argument could be made,
why don't
right?
you pull up the chart?
Yeah, I'll throw this up here. So
yeah. Or you can even look at how many listings are on TCG, so we can get a pulse at least on what's open for the market, like what you can actually buy if you went on there right now. How many are available?
Yeah, so
come
back to John's comment there. But if you wanted to buy right now, I mean, it says 33 listings, but usually the first several are just like sleeved or packs of 36 or bundles of 36. So you have to go what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So like 24 of the listings up here are actually for Evolving Skies. The first one here, Fernando, I know you dealt with this a little bit, right? Only 11 sales, only 11 completed sales. So some people might look at this and they might say, oh, well, I'm not going to go to the lowest listed price guy because he doesn't have enough of I guess experience or track record yet. And for some reason this is taking forever to load. But
you might spend $700
but the next page, right? I'm trying to find like where the first verified seller is. Basically, is what I'm after.
Man, that Sanchez in the chat is real.
All right, so this is a Japanese Heroes or Japanese EV Heroes booster box. I know I still got stacks. All right, are we back? I think we're back. Yeah. I think we're good. So basically, the first verified seller is, I mean, if you factor in shipping, is at $700. Now, I don't know if this is like a buyout or I don't know if this is like a little bit of manipulation. I think there's probably a little bit of that going on. What I typically like to do is I like to go to eBay because eBay buyers are pickier and they don't sell into the higher price like TCG Player. I see a lot of TCG Player prices go so much higher prices. It's insane. So I don't know if we want to like take a look at eBay real quick. and see what
I'm
they're
down.
going for here. But this might blow up the chat again, or the well, let me do this. I'll do it in the background. And that still might not, it still might not like it, but yeah. So I mean, we talked about, like, you know, what, I guess. So Don, do you have any kind of like position in Evolving Skies at this point?
Honestly, no. So I had like several ETBs. I caved and I cracked a couple, and then I flipped a few of them until I had no more. I didn't expect this. I would keep it 100, at least not this quick. But no, I never held a booster box though.
Okay, yeah.
How much are ETBs going for right now? Because
Okay.
I think I got in where like they were 60 to 70.
So I think they're up right now.
Imagine like some of that's probably like timing, right? Or like when you came into this to start, I guess, when you start up, would you say?
Oh, did you ask when I started?
Talking to Walt?
Yeah, I don't know.
Hey,
all right.
Yeah, I think you're a little choppy. So if you want to just skip
yeah, I did my final loading. I'm gonna just throw this up here.
All right.
It doesn't like that, so I'm gonna close these out as soon as I show this. But the last two confirmed sales for Evolving Skies were $700 on eBay. So I guess take that for what it is, but I mean, now we're seeing those prices across the same platforms, and not to say like there could be manipulation on eBay. To manipulate eBay, I think, is easier actually, because sellers or buyers will cancel on you all the time. So I think it's a little bit easier to manipulate on eBay, but I don't know. At some point, I think it's hard for people to wrap their heads around, you know, a modern box that's less than 3 years old being a $700 box or even a $600 box. The dial up.
So do you think? I'm gonna
close
around and manipulating, since you can't find like. So there are sales where, like, you know, it's kind of sketchy, right? So truly, do you think it's worth 700 right now, or is it someone messing around who has some type of position maybe that can like you know what I'm saying, like behind the scenes? Because like we saw the one sale from the eBay going for $7 on TCG. It didn't seem like there were many like sales. They have few people listed, but we can't confirm if people were actually making transactions on it. So like, is someone actually just boosting the market?
I mean, I'll be honest.
I'm not trying to be conspiracy theory, but right?
I mean, if I was trying to make some money, you could convince me to do some stuff like that. I'm just saying. I'm just keeping it transparent. Like, you can't. I don't think you can, like, clearly rule that out. That's just
I think it's a legitimate concern, and that's I guess that's why like I look at this, and like when we discuss in the Discord, right? Like what's a good pickup? You know, we had that analysis market channel, whatever. It's hard for me to justify telling people to go and spend $600 on an Evolving Skies booster box when you can pick up 4 Lost Origin at $150 if you search around, right? And you know that's going up. Like, and we feel confident, right? I don't think $150 for Lost Origin is being manipulated. This Evolving Skies, it kind of feels like, okay, there's all this product that's around and available, but it's going up that fast. It's like I mean, I know there's hype FOMO, and it's a powerful thing, but I mean, damn, you could get caught with your pants down really quick if you make the wrong moves, and it just feels like a lot of risk to buy at this point. And I don't know who's buying. Like I don't know who is buying those boxes at these prices. I just don't, unless it's the single single box for the collection, long-term person, which we've already talked about it. Like the average person is just going to buy a box and they're going to enjoy it, right? They're going to hold it. It's going to be theirs, right? They're not doing all this analysis. They're just saying, oh, this is the price. It's going up. I'm going to get it now, right? There could be that going on too.
Yeah, I was just gonna add, if you guys, I mean, I think the answer is clear that once you start getting up in price like that, the target consumer definitely is different. It goes from, the casual stream watcher to the guy who sets up his booth at Collecticon. Like that's just how I feel personally. And I wanted to know what you guys thought about that. Just to add to the whole, like, hey, the average, you got to keep the average person in mind.
I would agree. I mean, I don't have a position in it because I was priced out of it, in my opinion, a while ago. Like, so I can't see myself going in and at this point spending a couple $100s on a booster box. But that's me personally. And I like Pokemon cards. I like to collect. But me, I think would be a little bit too much. I'd rather stay in the $150 range and get something now that'll maybe grow to that, to your point. Lost Origins, Little Brilliant Stars. Even Chilling Reign, if I can't get it like a little bit lower, I feel like I'm out of that. Even though there's growth, I just think there's opportunity then at that point. If I miss the boat, I miss the boat. But I think there's a lot of opportunity in Scarlet and Violet, era, because it's so cheap. Maybe not base set, it has some stuff. I think some cards are gonna smack in base set, honestly, but maybe that might not jump up real crazy. But I think we're starting to see some stuff where down the line people are like, all right, I'm gonna head back and rip that, so I definitely think, and at these low prices, if you get in now, it's a great way to build and grow. I think someone has a growing stuff, but doing things like that. But yeah, so me, too late for all things, guys. I couldn't see myself spending that.
I was going to ask you real quick, what do you think? Like you said, you price yourself out. Do you have a generic number in mind where you're just like, prices are at 200, prices at 150, I'm out? Just to put
so I would say my number is definitely so for Sword and Shield, if I can't get it for MSRP or below, I'm done with it.
Okay, that's fair.
Scarlet and Violet, I'm trying to catch it. Like if I can catch it under $100, I'm in. And then I would say maybe if I do something like I pull something, I have a little combination of store credit, I'll go after something a little more expensive where I'm still maybe spending $150, but I pulled something that someone will take and knock down the price on a more a throwback booster backs. I'll do something like that. But as of right now, that's my kind of my area I want to stay at. Not to say Walt, you had a pretty good deal on Sun and Moon booster box going on a little while ago. I would jump on something like that potentially if it's coming from a good source, someone I know. But even then, maybe down the line, I would do something like that.
Okay. And then
I'll probably ripping it. Honestly, I'll probably look at it and be like, yeah, but I never ripped this before. Let me go shred it up a little bit.
It's dangerous. It's dangerous.
It's dangerous. 100%.
I was also going to ask, because the question is just rolling at this point, do you think it's harder to make these decisions when you're kind of in the transitional period between eras? Because I feel like Sword and Shield, what was it, Crown Zenith, that bled way into. I mean, Scarlet and Violet was out March 2023, something like that, last year.
Yeah.
So this starts bleeding way into it past the game, and I'm kind of wondering if that transition period makes it even harder. I mean, it even makes these decisions harder.
Well, I think actually Crown Zenith was a decent transition because it got you ready to go to the next era with all the hit rate, the hits that were in there. Okay. I thought a bridge especially said, please, Walt, sorry.
No, and they printed it like crazy. So I feel like they do that.
But I guess it doesn't make it. I guess in my situation, it's if I can get it at a good deal before it gets out, I'll jump on it. It doesn't really matter transitioning eras because I find that I like cards from all kinds of eras. Every set has something for me that I found support. I like Scarlet and Violet era a lot. I don't know, people aren't really vibing with it, but I think it's dope. I think the full arts are dope. I like Sword and Shield a lot. but I'm not going to be snobby about it and not mess with the new era because you got to be ready for change. I like what they're doing with Temporal Forces, kind of transitioning the Pokemon from my era into something, you know, I mean, different. I mean, you know, well, like I forgot the one. What's the one? Like they took Ryok, the Thunder legendary dog, and made it like stretched its neck out and made it like a giraffe or something like that.
Yeah.
Oh,
And I feel like that's always going to happen. Like they're always going to have every era is going to have a gimmick, and there's always going to be callbacks to just keep people like me and you involved. I feel like that's always going to happen. And then, you know, me and you, this audience turns into, you know, the younger audience, and they're calling back, you know, things like Blaziken or Gen 3, Gen 4, Gen 5, and I think that's how they keep you. They keep you spending.
They have that nostalgia, bro. They know. All right, this group should be ready for that nostalgia hit right about now. Let's hit them with the cards they want. You know what I mean?
No, I completely agree.
Yeah. So going back real quick to what Avocado was saying, but there's some, I guess it is going to be interesting, and I feel like we haven't really experienced this yet, where we do have a large portion of people. I mean, there's no data to support this, but like I would imagine the most hoarded set in the modern era has got to be Evolving Skies. Like that has to be the most hoarded set in the modern era. If we look at like back to Sun and Moon, or I guess, you know, even XY Evolutions, like people, from what I heard, because I wasn't around at that point, people hated it and they couldn't give it away, right? like they overprinted it and it was everywhere. So I don't know. I think there's some merit to what he's, you know, his comment up here, you know, holding it might artificially be driving this scarcity that maybe doesn't exist, right? Because as soon as the market price hits a certain level, there's people, I mean, like even like me, right? I got in at a good time because I was around at that point where Evolving Skies had come out and there was a reprint, and I picked some up on release and then the reprint. But at some point, like, you know, like you said, Don, like if it gets up to a certain price, it's like it doesn't really make sense to hold a box if it's $1,000 a box when I can take that and turn that into 10 brand new boxes from a new set and then let those grow, right? It's like, which vehicle do you want your money in? And I'll just, you know, there's a little bit of humor to this statement. You know, this is all our opinion and it's not financial advice, right? But I got to throw that out there. We're just three guys who like to, you know, talk about this, and you know, it's a hobby for us. But you know, there's some money in this, and you want to make sure your money's doing the best for you, but you also get to enjoy it along the way, right? So I don't think I could ever sell all the Evolving Skies I have because there's like a good story around it. Like long term, I think it's going to be cool to have, right? I don't think I could ever sell all of them. So yeah, just to kind of touch on what Avocado threw out there about the artificial scarcity. And then you guys were talking about, you know, not vibing with the new sets. To that same point, you know, Avocado and John were both saying, you know, like, you know, to the same point, I feel like it's the same thing. Every new era, it's change. It's like human beings hate change, right? They don't like change. They don't like new, right? They like what's going on, right? The end of Sun and Moon, people really like the team ups. At the end of Sword and Shield, you know, it's a little bit of a joke at this point. They really like the yellow borders. They didn't want to go to the silver borders, right? It's just it's kind of a joke at this point. But it seems like going into Scarlet Violet, the big difference is the Pokemon that they're highlighting, right? And like in Sword and Shield, we got used to what they were throwing out there and what they were doing, and now it's like a new line of Pokemon, and they're maybe highlighting those a little bit more, and maybe those aren't our favorites, and you know, there's some pushback to that. But at the same point, like Battle Styles is still, I mean, that's going on 3 years old, and that booster box you could probably find that under $100 still if you really shop around. I remember TCG Player today. I looked over 50 listings on there, and that set is 3 years old, and they're not going to print it anymore. They're not going back and printing battle styles. So there's some value in some of these sets that are underappreciated.
That's good.
Yeah, it's kind of hard when you see battle styles still like widely available at that price point, and it's like just because something's old doesn't mean that there's a certain value attached to it. And I think that's why it's important for people who are in this hobby to still, get on YouTube, get in the community, get in a couple forums, and just talk about this stuff, or at least hear people talk about this stuff, so that you gain a proper sentiment. That is attached to that set or not, and then you can make your own informed decision. You know what I mean? Because I feel like everybody has that same question, like, oh, should I invest in this? Should I invest in that? Sets appreciate over time. You're like, well, I mean, that's true. Just nobody knows how long. And so yeah, I keep seeing battle styles a lot, and there's some on Facebook Marketplace. I've seen them as low as like $80-$90 a booster box still in my area, and I'm just like, well, there's a reason for that, like can't move it. So,
and then what happens once it starts to move up, though? Like,
everybody starts telling you that they told you so. And then,
what happens when a larger player comes along, for example, and just wants to buy the 20 cheapest battle styles boxes on TCG Player or eBay, and moves the price up 10% or 15% in one week, and everyone sees that and they're like, oh, it's starting to move, it's starting to go up, right? I mean, like, people will look for like the smallest spikes, and then they'll read that, just like the stock market or anything else, right? People are constantly looking for, easy avenues and cheap ways of getting, quick cash, right? That's just like, that's the culture that we live in. And COVID kind of drove that a little bit, right? Everything stopped in 2020. And, we're kind of back to reality, which is, you buy the sets you think have value, and you sit on them, and then they grow over time because organically they're good products and people enjoy them, and they're going to want to enjoy them into the future.
And they become scarce.
Demand that sticks around. The demand will stick around, but the supply will dwindle. It'll dwindle over time as people open them and stock them and hoard them and whatever they do with them. And it's just a slow mismatch or slow change in demand versus supply over time. That's what creates these slow price movements, these slow organic price movements. And that's where we're headed until the next Black Swan event, Logan Paul comes in.
Yeah, and just as a quick reference, Battle Styles is 115 on TCG Player. Obsidian Flames is 106.
Wow.
So we're talking about a 3-year, right? Would you say that's a 3-year gap? About
yeah.
So again,
and to that point, actually, so battle styles, battle styles to Sword and Shield era is what this next set coming up is to us, right? So battle styles, they introduced alt arts, right? This next set, they should be introducing megas, right? Because it's about the same time period. So do you think this next set is the banger, or is it going to keep progressing and the real banger is still yet to come?
Man, in my opinion, each set is better than the last so far.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion. Like, everybody was hating on the headdresses. Some of them were pretty
a little bit.
and then they start like the future paradox forms were kind of cool. And I was playing the game at the same time, so I'm thinking, oh, that's cool that they brought that form to the card game. Now I know what to expect because Crimson Haze might throw in the DLC. And so, as they make changes to the game, and I don't know if you guys keep up with the game at all, but the little Nintendo puts out these little trailers to special events for the game, and then you're like, oh, that's probably going to make its way into the card game. So it just keeps getting better, in my opinion. So I think another banger, 7 might be great, and then 8 might be great, and then who knows at that point. And then maybe you get some ZA stuff coming along. Like who's to tell?
But then I feel like people hate on battle styles. not comparing exactly, because I know you're saying they all get better, but the introduction of a new like alt arts, you know, and people hate on that set, but that's when, you know, it changed the era, and it gets no love. And I'm assuming no, they haven't really released that this next set will drop the megas. I was just wondering if we'll see a correlation where it's be like, all right, it's the introduction, people are like lukewarm to it, or you know, and then they have to come with the next heat after that.
Yeah, so I wouldn't say guaranteed double. I guess like anytime you talk about, and I'm talking to Avocado's comment here a little bit, and it kind of ties into what you were saying, but anytime you talk about like price change, right, got to tie that to like a timeline, right? Because I think it makes sense that over time, given enough time, it's going to double. It's just how long is it going to take to get there, right? It's gonna happen. And I guess what I do personally is I look at like, okay, Vivid Voltage, Darkness Ablaze, Sword and Shield base, even I have to believe Battle Styles is going to be chosen over those sets. Personally, I mean, maybe Sword and Shield base you could make an argument because there's the it's not Rosa, it's Marnie. You got the Marnie full art in there you can pull. Rebel Clash, like I'm gonna take a Battle Styles over a Rebel Clash, a Vivid Voltage. These sets, right? I don't know. I don't know how you don't pick a Battle Styles. And I think it just shows like how much Battle Styles was printed and just the time as it was released and how much just market perception can drive a price. Just like Evolving Skies is driving up, Battle Styles is just nobody's touched it because everyone thinks it's crap, and it's really not. It's a good set. So yeah.
And what's your expectation for the next set?
For the next set, so
not Temporal Forces, excuse me, the one after Temporal Forces.
Yeah, so the next set is set 6, right? And we said that Battle Styles was also set 6, or was that set 5? Was Battle Styles? I think Battle Styles might have been 5, right?
Okay.
Maybe.
I don't know. Right.
I don't want to look it up on here because then I'm just going to screw up.
Let me see
again. I could be wrong. I don't know. I thought it was like Battle Styles Chilling.
It's 5. It's 5.
5. Okay. Yeah. So like, but Sun and Moon didn't get good till like the very back end.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess like that's up for discussion, right? Like that's a subjective statement, but Sun and Moon didn't get the tag team, right? The team up stuff until later on in the era. So it's possible, right? We could continue to see the same rinse and repeat at least into like next year, right? I don't think anyone knows anything, but yeah. I think we do know megas are coming in the game, and usually the game correlates to the TCG. So you could say like, okay, we're probably going to see it, but we haven't gotten any confirmation yet for the trading card side.
That's true.
Yeah.
Well, it's all speculative too.
Yeah, it's a good possibility. I think it's going to be interesting to see what happens because we're right at that cusp right now where it's like everyone's like, okay, what's the next big thing? And we haven't gotten it yet, but we know it's coming. They're going to do. Yeah. We know they're going to do something different.
We're thirsting for it.
Yeah, we are 100%, and they know that though. They know that they're like, oh, how many more sets can we squeeze out here? They're just going to eat up. They know that. Dude, they're smart. Oh my god.
Yeah, 100%. And they're gonna like, and then when they get tired, we'll hit them with a 151 replay.
Yeah, 100%, dude. 100%.
Oh man.
Then I wonder how, when you finally pump out these new megas, I wonder how it influences the old.
I hear you, Slick.
Yeah, I want a 151 reprint too bad.
Yeah. Yo, where are you guys seeing the comments at? I got to be that guy who doesn't have the comments. So where
video.
Hey, yo, what's up? YouTube?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm ashamed.
You can get on YouTube, and then I think you can just follow Flower City Cards.
Oh, right. So this is
I'm old man in it, bro.
What do you guys think about Avocado's comment here? Paldea evolved art greater than 151.
I want the Magikarp so damn bad.
Yeah, I agree.
I want it real bad, and I think that's the only reason why. I don't
Found
know
it for you for the
That's
stream.
I just got my grade on mine. It wasn't a 10.
What'd you get? Like an 8 or 9?
I got a 9 on it, man.
Oh, that's still awesome though.
It is still awesome. It's still holding higher than Raw. So yeah, definitely. I was hoping for that 10 though. That 10 is selling for fire.
I want to talk about something that's crazy. Modern cards in a 9 never hold higher than their raw condition. Like that's not normal.
Oh, okay.
That's just that usually doesn't happen unless it's like a super hard to pull alt art or something. The fact that it's a regular character art rare and you could get a 9 and still do well. That's saying something, I think, about the demand and the pull rates a little bit. That's pretty crazy.
I would have to agree. I actually pulled 2 of them. The other one was terrible centering. I knew I wasn't. Yeah. I knew it wasn't good. Like I wouldn't even disrespect but I ended up I flipped it to someone because I had this one, which I thought was a 10, but I had a few cards I sent in this mission that was like I really questioning what they were looking at. One in particular, definitely, but and I sent some vintage, and I felt like they graded really hard on one of my cards. Anyway, I don't want to bash PSA because they graded really.
I'm just looking at Paldea Evolved Arts right now, and it's like some of them are pretty good.
Even
a lot of them are good.
Oh, dude, I like the Groudon from Paradox.
Oh, that one is one of my favorites.
Well, the Tyranitar and Paldea is the same concept. The Tyranitar and Paldea.
Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, there's a lot of really good just the character rares. I mean,
oh, dude, the Miss Maggie
crossing the street. Oh man, what's dope about Paldea Evolve is it's like everyday life. How they immerse the Pokemon in everyday life. I thought it was pretty sick, and I definitely think for kids coming in now, that's definitely going to be a nostalgia factor. I think maybe Scarlet and Violet Base did it a little bit with the Gardevoir line, but I think they went heavy with Paldea on that. Yeah, they kind of took it back to not the style of the card, but like you said, like the evolved form in like a family type setting almost, like with like growing up with the kid. Like they did that for Radiant Collection in Generations. They did it there. So you remember like the Charizard Radiant Collection, like you get the Charmander, he's like with the little boy, and then like the teenager with Charmeleon, and then the Charizard, he's like an adult. And that card, like, oh my God, I felt like every other pack I was pulling the Charizard. Like it's so common. it's such a common card, yeah. But yeah, they brought that back a little bit. That was pretty cool. It's pretty cool how they touch on different things, but it's not entirely the same. It's pretty interesting. They have the amount of like just sheer content and things they have to pull from is mind-boggling. Like what they could do if they really wanted to do it. It just they could do so much and they could knock out of the park if they really wanted to. But I feel like they're just slowly leaking it. They're doing just enough.
Like they got the hose crimped. Like there's a leaky faucet.
Yeah. There's a saying at my job. It's like they don't pay you enough, but they pay you just enough to stay. It's like, you know what I mean? It's like they don't give you too much, but they give you enough to stay in the hobby. You know, like they let you know what could be. You know what I mean? Dangle the carrot.
100%. And speaking of like what could be, maybe it's a good segue into the.
That wasn't a nice segue. Pocket. Whatever it is, it's smooth.
Yeah, the TCG Pocket, right? So like Pokemon Day, they had a very, I would say, long segment on the online trading card game app, which is going to be TCG Pocket. So they basically highlighted like there's going to be unique arts where you can basically pull up the card and then be submersed in like the rest of the art that, you know, essentially like if you looked at a card there, you could form a bigger picture with that piece of art on the card. and you could explore that, right, basically in the app. And among other things, like you can battle, like you can do a lot of other things. You can trade virtually. So like in the way they're probably going to generate money is by like paying for packs, virtual packs, right? That's going to be one way to monetize it on their end. But do you guys think that this has the potential for kind of replacing physical cards in the future? Do you think there's any kind of risk?
I mean, so Magic has the MTG Arena, and I think it's cool. I think it's great that you can see all your cards, and you basically can. I mean, it's convenience, right, in the palm of your hand. But people get tired of these microtransactions. I feel it's. How can I put this? You feel like less of a loser when you have something in your hand, like something physical. Like if you buy something, that's just how I see it. So I don't know. I think it'll bring in a new audience for sure, but I don't feel like it'll take. I can't see somebody who's grown up with the card game thinking I'm gonna go digital. Like
You hit it right on the head.
I don't know.
I agree with that. I feel like you hit it right on the head with like anyone, at least from our era, and anyone who started the hobby with actual physical cards. I don't think we're gonna lose any of them. Maybe people who will coming into it who really never played who had physical cards. Maybe they don't go in the direction of trading cards that way. They go the opposite direction. But I think the hobby will go strong, if not bring more awareness. Like what Pokemon Go did. I think it's just gonna be a boost to and bring people in.
Right.
Like, all right, this is cool. Let me grab the real cards. Oh, this doesn't compete with that, and then
Yeah, I'm on board with you guys, and I've thought about this a lot, and I've watched a lot of other people's takes too, who are much smarter than me, like Mason from Cardinal Gaming, like Pokemon Knowledge. Like I've watched a lot of their takes on this too, and it's pretty much exactly like what you guys said. Is that it's essentially this giant net to capture future, just new audiences, new business, right? Because they're going to take the casual app user and they're going to get them hooked on this whole concept of like just collecting cards and trading and playing the game. And then they're going to say, oh, there's a physical card game. I can go and do this, and I can like physically have the card. So they looked at this as like this giant advertising campaign in the form of an app to bring people into the physical card game.
Mm-hmm.
Which I thought was a really interesting take, like that it's just nothing but purely advertising. I do think there's something to be said for also human beings. Like if we address is it risking the presence of physical cards in the future? I don't think it is. I think us as humans, we want to experience things, outside of virtual reality, right? I think virtual reality has a place, but I'd rather be at a baseball game than sit in a virtual reality, right, with a headset on, right? It's just an example. That's just one example. You don't get the the feel, the smells, whatever, like the atmosphere. So I don't think physical cards will ever go away. Not at least not in our lifetime.
Yeah, I can't see it either. I started thinking about how the PS5 ended up transitioning to a digital only deal, but it's like it wasn't founded on that. So, but I think it's even different, even so, because like if you have Steam, if you're a gamer right now and you have Steam, you're absolutely buying everything digital now. But maybe it's a different concept. But even then, they still make PS5s with a CD with a physical driver, right? So like there's still plenty of people who still care for physical stuff.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, I mean we're at the 1 hour mark. We'll kind of open it up to just general Q&A, like in the chat here, and just as I'm saying that, so your boy Zozo, I think physical cards will hold value more than they know. Only way to kill the market is if they make digital exclusives, forcing you to go that route. Yeah, I think that makes sense. Like if you had cards you couldn't collect in the physical form, and you know, oh, so Avocado saying they did make digital exclusives. I don't know. I mean, like, I think there's got to be a large enough adoption that like the virtual game trumps the physical game before the exclusivity in the digital side forces people out of the physical game entirely. Like, I don't think like I think exclusivity is okay in the digital side. I think it draws people over to the app as another form of revenue generation. Like you can be immersed in the app but also the physical trading card game at the same time, and then they're going to make more money off of you. Basically, like you're consuming both of their products in both spaces. So that's maybe why you have exclusivity over on the digital side.
It's definitely great marketing because it's in one breath. You go out, you play the card game, you come home, you're on your phone all day. Now you're in the app, checking it however many times a day, opening it up. Seriously. Like, you know, it'll become a part of some people's like all day. All right, I got downtime at work. I check this. All right, you know, and it's gonna be definitely bombarding them with advertisements. All around you.
100%.
It's like it's definitely a great business model. Definitely going to generate them a ton of money and definitely going to keep people involved. At least they're being like ingenuity. No, I guess that's not the word. Like they're trying new things to keep people engaged. You know, they're not being stale. You know.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, they're constantly innovating.
Innovating. That's actually.
Yeah, they're just. I mean, they have a lot of people over there smarter than us, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know. They make good products, and obviously they've created this thing that's steamrolling ahead. So, yeah, I don't know if you guys have any like other topics we want to touch on tonight. But I know that the two main ones were like Evolving Skies, and then the TCG Pocket, and then anybody else on the you know, in the live that wants to throw out a question. Looks like Fabioso, you guys think they'll make another Van Gogh? God, I just said Van Gogh. It's been a long day. Van Gogh Pokemon card. So they've done this before, right? They did the Scream promos as a collaboration with another museum or artist. So they've done this before.
I've seen them. I actually like them a lot.
And they're expensive.
Yeah. They're awesome.
They're expensive. And I guess my point is to answer Fabioso's question. I think if they've done it before, they just did it again. I think now we're seeing a potential. It's not a pattern, but if we see it again, it could be a pattern forming. So yeah, I think I mean, if they've done it before and they just did it, I think there's a really good possibility to do it again, especially considering there's tons of artists and museums to pair up with in the world. And there's a lot of opportunity from a marketing perspective that Pokemon benefits from, and then also the museum and the artist benefits from. So I think there's, you know, at its core, it sounds capitalistic, but there's money to be made with these, you know, types of promos and partnerships. So that's why I think there's a good opportunity for it to continue.
I think to add to that, because I agree 100% with everything you said, I would just add that Pokemon will likely refine how they distribute them compared to what happened with the Van Gogh, because I think that was an utter debacle. And I think they'll pretty much think out the amounts that they, you know, put out. I think that's going to get refined. I think how it gets distributed on the site will get refined. I hope. Actually, let me rephrase that. What they should do, let me switch all that up. What they should do is refine how much they give out and how the site works so that people doesn't go all to the bots and things like that. I would hope, because I think they didn't they issue like an apology for it or something like that? What happened? Yeah. So yeah. So definitely, I don't think they want egg on their face twice.
No,
Do you guys have a copy of that card?
I don't. I don't.
Do you, Don? Do you have a copy of this card?
No, I don't.
Yeah, I only want a copy just because of the story that's attached. Like that is so wild. Like
That negativity.
well, a little bit. You know, everybody has a little bit of toxicity in them. You know what I mean?
Oh.
No, dude. I mean, it is kind of cool. Like, you remember the videos we saw, people just trampling over other people over Pokemon
Just
cards.
like
I mean, it felt like COVID all over again. It's like we're never going to see this again, and it's like, okay, here we are. It's happening.
Look, Bobby was making plays on them. Bobby out here, he sold 4 of them to one person, which is like, all right.
I have 4 children in one person. Man.
Yeah, they're carrying a premium for sure. Yeah.
I had a question that I wrote down as we were going through it in the beginning. So being fresh, being new to this still, and analyzing prices and whatnot, TCG Player only goes back a year. Have you guys found anything, or do you guys use anything that goes back further than a year?
There's this, there's this price charting service. Well, now it's a service, but there was this price charting website that was useful, but now they want you to pay for the data because they obviously know it's valuable. So I would say no. I haven't dabbled with like eBay API. I've thought about getting into that, like extracting historical sales, but it's like eBay's so messy compared to like TCG Player. Because you could have somebody list something, and I do it all the time. Like, I just get lazy. If I have like 100 items to list, I'm not going to change the description on the eBay listing. It's the lazy approach, and I'm just going to put it in the description. So it's like being able to filter through all that it's going to be so challenging on eBay. So TCG Player, and then like the closest thing I use is like I'm going to continue to price chart, the booster packs from Sun and Moon and on for the 10x pack thing that I got going on. So I'll have kind of like my own data set. But no, I guess that was a long-winded answer, but
Yeah, no. Avocado suggested, I guess, Pokedata.
that's the service I'm talking about. I used to use them, but not anymore.
I've seen eBay where it kind of like, when you list something on TCG Player, it almost like you're giving it a unique SKU, and it only fits that mold. As when you list something on eBay, I mean, how do you keep track of what you can't? So I don't think you can really trust any price chart data that eBay pumps out.
Well, you'd have to almost throw out. You'd almost have to throw out outliers, like.
Yeah.
You have to just say, like, if it's above this price or below this price, it can't be a real sale, or it can't be the product you're looking at. Like, I don't know how else you would do it.
But don't most of them pull their data from eBay? And like, isn't TCG and eBay sales kind of similar? Like, didn't one buy the other? So they use kind of the similar, like, tracking?
eBay did buy TCG Player, to my understanding. And
I think they're separate entities, though. Still, okay. I think TCG Player just kind of operates under its own, like, just I don't know, just standalone like structure, basically.
Okay.
At least for right now, that might change. Then I don't know. So
I was just curious, just to see if there was any difference in the charting, if they were the same. Oh.
Yeah, I mean, at the same time, it's like you kind of know every modern set starts around $100, right? So it's like, how much value are you really getting out of being able to price chart a lot of these sets that have just come out like back to release day? It's like you can kind of extrapolate back to the beginning if you really wanted to. I don't know. I feel like we're at this time again where slow organic growth, and then you might have you might have something change in the market conditions that makes it spike, right?
Mhm.
Which is why you get in at a low cost basis, right? That's why you try to get in low. I don't know. So, but if you're talking, yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's value added in data, but there's also the fallacy that like if it's happened in the past, it's going to continue on that trend. I mean, things could shift, right? Macroeconomic conditions could change.
Mhm.
All things to just consider, right? Got to continuously think of kind of both sides of the coin when you're making these decisions, like where to put your money, where to park your money in your collection. So
No, yeah, I agree.
I feel like you have more to say. Like you have more you want to say, Fernando.
I mean, yeah, I also don't want to go too long into the I think we all so we all came into the saying, hey, we're gonna cap it at not 2 hours.
Right. No, 100%. And I feel like we've done a pretty good job today. Like we touched on a lot of things, and we've had a lot of good feedback from the group, and we have I would say a lot of other topics that were submitted that we didn't touch on, and that will probably be submitted between now and the next live. So we're going to have plenty of content to talk about. So I feel like this is a nice little I would say like system that we have here, address two to three topics, 2.5 topics or something like that. And
Yeah.
That gets you to like an hour to an hour and a half mark. So
yeah, and I mean, and at the end of the day, not all the content is going to be here. The Discord is pretty good for anything and anything. I think we have a good group in the Discord, not just avocado trolling, but yeah.
Avocado should come do this stream.
What
He
I'm
did it the whole
saying.
time.
I don't think he will, man. He already said he won't. I've already asked
well, as long as he's active in the chat, at least he's here, in spirit with us.
Man. So there's still people like Avocado, Fabioso, Slick.
Real quick, Fabioso. I'm not a financial advisor, but Pokemon's riskier.
It could all burn up.
Pokemon is riskier, man. It's just cardboard. It's not tied to a business, right? Like stocks are tied to a business, right? There's something behind it. But again, I'm not like a big time investor, right? I'm doing this because I like it. So just wanted to address that real quick. But yeah, so do you guys got anything else before we call it a stream here tonight?
We're talking to us.
No, I'm good. I think this is
you guys. Yeah. Fernando, Don. Yeah.
I had a lot of questions earlier, and then we started listening as they come by. I mean, I guess that hasn't been a long time, but 2 weeks have passed. Has any of the goals of yours have they changed? Have you worked towards any of them? Some of your other goals that we've talked in the beginning, Don has the store. Just any progress on that?
Yeah.
You want to talk about,
yeah, you go ahead, Don. You want to answer?
Oh yeah, sure. Thanks for asking. Actually, my business cards came in this week, so I was stoked about that. Last week we did some painting and bought some different materials and things like that to build it up, and I'm hoping to do a soft opening this weekend just to gauge the foot traffic, and then I'm hoping to be fully active April 1. Well, first weekend in April.
Nice.
So yeah, it's pretty sweet. So I'm just piling up inventory, cleaning up, moving stuff around, getting these cases ready. And I think I'll be good to go. I'll send some before and after pictures to the chat when I open up. I'll put it in the Discord so y'all can see. Because it did come a long way. It was crazy looking in the beginning. Like the space itself.
Yeah.
Right.
Definitely interested to hear how that goes. I haven't dabbled in the physical selling space or anything like that. So definitely interested to hear how everything goes and your experience.
Thank you. That's why a lot of my posts and talks about breakdown opportunities, getting the most value out of items, because I'm gonna have packs and stuff like that. But then it's why not hang up a little Glaceon Pikachu keychain? Somebody will definitely pick that up separate from it. Just think it's cool. But But anyway, more to come on that.
Yeah, for sure,
No,
man.
yeah,
Hope
we
it goes
should see
well.
how that goes. What you
For
got?
me, for me, I don't know. I just been continuing to kind of move into the sets that I think I detailed out in like the wrap up of the 2023 like 10x booster pack and like fund review. Like I'm going after those like the cosmics, the evolving skies still. Um, 151. I'm trying to stockpile a lot of that stuff. Kind of get ready for the inevitable. I think growth of those sets. So I've been just kind of trading my way through to get a hold on a lot of those sets and pick them up where I can get them really cheap. So in the last 2 weeks, obviously, I told you guys I traded for some of those. So yeah, just kind of working towards that. I don't really have like an end goal. Just trying to not spend a ton of my money and move product that I already have into the things that I believe in that have the best opportunity for growth into the next year.
Yeah, no, that's good. I laugh because it's really hard to not want to spend the money to have a little bit of skin in every set because again, you just never know what's gonna pop off at what time or whatever. So for me, I'm trying to turn this other room that we have into my office. I'm actually in her office right now. So she's been letting me use her office for these kinds of things. But I want to turn that other room into an office, and I want to start. I see people like Tin. I see people like the newest. I don't know how to pronounce his name. Is it Daedalus?
Yeah, Dade. He's not. Yeah, Daedalus TCG.
Right. And so I see what he's got going on in terms of streaming, pack ripping and stuff, and I really want to work towards diving into that. I don't know if you have any aspirations to do that, but it just seems like it seems kind of lucrative there and fun at the same time. There's just no way around it, right? Like it's just being fully transparent.
I'm definitely not against it, but yeah, I'm not against it. I think it just comes down to a time thing, right? And balancing, like everyone's got different commitments in their life, and they're budgeting their time
Right.
accordingly, and yeah, I don't think it's something that's off the table for me, and it's definitely something I could explore down the line or even this year.
Yeah, so like in the back of my mind, I keep thinking like building the following has to be the most important deal. But you can't build it if you don't start it. If that makes sense.
Right.
That does make sense.
Yeah, like I mean, if you just sit around and think about how you're going to build it without actually just diving into it, getting a couple haters in the chat. I mean, whether you get them now or later, it's going to happen, right? So,
dude, let me tell you, that's what I did. I kind of forced myself, when Flower City Cards, right, was created, I just forced myself to dive into it. And the way that I did that is I financially committed to paying for the website, paying for the Wix subscription for a year. And I was like, I have to do this. Like, I'm going to force myself to do it. And I'm glad I did. It took me a long time to get it up, but it was worth it. So yeah, the first step is definitely the hardest one. I definitely understand what you're saying.
I would agree. Shout out to the Discord. Shout out to Flower City Cards. You know what I'm saying? We're on this stream today because of Walt. So let's throw that out there.
Yeah,
Glad
shout out
that
to
you actually did end up doing
coming
it.
on, being a part of this. I mean,
Yeah.
I feel like the next time we do this, we might have a couple different faces. I'm sure we're gonna have YouTube back on, and also like it doesn't necessarily have to be like on my channel either. This can be something like if we want to host it on one of your channels, like it doesn't have to be on this one. So I'm up for whatever you guys want to do, and we'll have others on too, and I'm sure they're gonna throw out good ideas, and maybe someday we'll have just like a giant StreamYard, whatever. I think we can have up to like 6 people on here and just have like a hangout or something, and do pack battles like Fernando suggested.
Yeah, that'd be fun. That'd be pretty interesting just to kind of keep it fun, right?
Flower, you got all the packs though. That's not fair. I saw that flex.
Oh,
earlier in the Discord.
Dude,
Packs
those are packs that are going onto the shelf downstairs though. Those aren't ripping packs.
Oh, those are getting tucked.
Oh, they're getting tucked. They're getting boarded up and taped away. So yeah. But
Nice.
yeah, more to come. Excited to see where this goes. This is only episode 2, and I feel like this has been a success so far. So
yeah,
man. Yeah, shout out to you guys. Thanks for joining and
Yeah, no problem.
contributing so much. I mean, it's easy to talk with you guys, and I feel like you guys feel the same. We could sit here and probably talk for another 2 hours, but we're not going to do that.
Yeah, I'm excited for the channel to just grow and have more people asking questions. And if I don't know all the answers, but if I can offer anybody at least a laugh or just a good bit of advice, I mean, I'm more than happy to do that. That's
And if you can't provide a laugh, then I'm sure Avocado can do it. So
right.
Oh, yeah, where's he at? He said, "Let's not."
Let's
not.
Cool, man. All right. Well, I think we'll call it for the day. So till next time, guys. Thanks for stopping by.
Thanks. Later,
Yep.
Fernando.
Have a good one, man. Y'all see
Hey,
y'all
guys.
later.
All right,
Have a
well,
good night.